This time around, I'm caught up at the moment in an avalanche ever since we started fighting for Eddie McPhee and his land, which is where Juukan Gorge is and where they exploded the site. It's now become an ongoing event. And I've had to write a second article, and there's a third one coming. I'm obligated to do that because the elders have asked for this, because there's something going on, ladies and gentlemen. It's going on everywhere. We've actually, our books are full for now. We've got all this stuff, all these rocks that have come in and other stuff, and more information about some more rings with some amazing chemical results have just come in there. But this has got to come first. And what I'm finding is right now, we're actually dealing with 5 sites, 4 personally that have turned up since, including Juukan Gorge. The article that's up at the moment, we've just put up now, is Juukan Gorge and what's taking place with Shane Mortimer, a Canberra elder, in a location right next to, in fact, adjacent to the Australian War Memorial. There's original land there. And I've seen the reports. They did the right thing. They got 2 different reports. And you know what? I got 2 ticks. I've seen where experts have said, with degrees, they've acknowledged the fact that it's traditionally important to the original people there, and the tribal groups mentions them like you're supposed to say, and they've done that. And it also says it's an amazing geological site worthy of being kept and preserved. And it's right next to the Australian War Memorial. Now, wouldn't it be nice to have an original statement alongside that, a nice balance? But no, there's something else that's turned up. A developer has suggested, why not turn this land into a gated community with a private tennis court? Well, I'm a tennis player. It'd be nice to have a free court there. It'd be lovely, but I don't have a private tennis court or any court. I go to some other public courts, but that's what they're offering. And right now, at the moment, this group have contacted me, and we've put this in the article also. This is the second one. But you know, the pattern continues. But since then, the others have turned up. An incidental one we just found out about is they found a bone, more than likely a human bone, on the shores of Warragamba, where the dam is, which is going to be, they're going to raise the level and flood the whole thing. And it turns out it probably is an ancient burial site. They found the bones. And they know that once the bones have been identified as human, then things have got to stop. Archaeology's got to take place, and there'll be an extensive dig to find out what's taking place. The whole process must come into being straight away. That's the rules. They are there. But fortunately or unfortunately, yes, the bone's been reported. The experts have it. They just haven't got around to find out if it's an animal or a human. Until they do that, they can't do anything. So everything goes ahead. And they're still waiting now for them to work out whether it's an animal or human. It's not a very difficult process, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, but they haven't done it. And then, lo and behold, Carry-On, place I've been fighting at for quite some time with some amazing people there for maybe 10 years now, finally got gazetted, got taken out, separate, all good, everything's fine, it's all done. I thought, well, that's one, we've won at least. It's the only one I know I've been successful. Then I find out there's a 70-house residential piece that's cut into the land and goes into some sites and right next to others. And by our count, there's about 12 sites within 1 kilometre, and every one of them should be listed as a national heritage. That means you've got another 300 people as residents living right on top of this, and it's been damaged and destroyed as it is now, and it's not protected. They're going to put more people around there, and people are just going to wander through the whole area, and it's just full of sacred sites. And so it continues again and again. So we're going to write an article about that and probably have some meetings down in Gosford and Carry-On and try and fight for that place to be protected. We already thought it was, and we were told it was. You know, it's an interesting thing because in all those other sites I was telling you about, it's a white mining company, Rio Tinto, it's a white developer in Canberra, but you know, it's not a race thing. This isn't a race thing, you know, because the mob that are doing the development of 70 houses is the local lands council. They're black. It's got nothing to do with colour and everything to do with money. When money turns up, Aboriginal land is not owned by Aboriginal people. That's the law I found out in this. Don't tell me differently. When they sign a piece of paper and say, we've got the land, you have until money comes along, a developer comes along, a miner comes along, somebody else turns up that has a vested interest where the politician can say, they can point there and say there's money and there's jobs there. All of a sudden, those rights go out the back door. It's all about exclusive rights. And I've said last time, that's what the mining company's using. Rio Tinto has exclusive rights on that land. That doesn't mean they have to consult with the original people. And they didn't. It's happening in Canberra. It's happening again at Carrion. At Warragamba, they found a burial site. No one's going to look. That's the best way around it. We've got bones. We've got those amazing bones, that flat-headed being. The government knows about it. They've seen it. They know where the site is. What do they do with the site? It's closed. What are they doing with us? We've got the bones here, but we can't get them analysed. There's a pattern there, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, on to something different. Now we've covered the next article. I also want to mention again, we're doing our second presentation with Barry Eaton and Mary Roble and Leah. And we're doing it on the same story, which is this prophecy of a change that's coming, and we're trying to cover that in every angle. The one that follows after that, we're looking at doing a presentation on Carrion, of course. We're going to put that back together. Want to do one on all original people together. We want to do a series of these, and the reason we're doing this way is because firstly, it means that we're not being censored by anyone else, and secondly, it's a story. It's an original story, which is a base that has to get out there. And this time around, everyone bar us is white. Next time around, we do one all black. All black fellas from all over, 7 different tribes. We're changing it each time. And there's another part to this that you may not quite get, is we're trying to do something else too. Most of the speakers in this country, whenever they speak anywhere, the people who put this on have got to pay for advertising, they've got to pay for the event, they've got to pay for travel, they've got to pay for accommodation and food and everything. With the exception of Duncan Rhodes, who can pull it off because of the fact he's just such a brilliant organiser and he's got a great team and they can do bigger events and do it. The rest of the people there can't pay anyone. Duncan can, which is optional, and he does it because he's such a nice person and they do the things well. But apart from that, the rest can't. Not their fault, they just can't because there's not enough money left over to do that. In this case, what we do is we count the number of people who have their face on the camera, and we add that up and divide that, and if there's 6, all the money that comes in is divided into 6 and everyone gets the same amount. One for the person who produces the whole thing. They really should get 2 cuts, but they get 1 cut too, and everyone that speaks. And that's how we do it each time. And it's a way of honouring people who've done many talks in this country for nothing. It's a way they get a little bit back. So in one respect, don't think you're just giving us the money. I mean, sure, we do a bit of it, but we don't get any more than anyone else. That's the best way to do things. And it's the original way things were done. When you went out in a hunt and someone caught the actual kangaroo or whatever it was, you didn't say I'm having it all. You broke it up evenly. So we're doing the same thing. And I use that analogy because what we're talking about, and I'm going to remind you again before I close again, I'll close off this time, is we're talking about a change that's coming. God, if you can't see what's going on around, there's a change taking place. It's all going to the left, it's going to the right, it's going to the spiritual, it's going to the pragmatic. Everything's sort of separating into polar opposites, and you're getting pulled one way and the other. And that's part of that change. And then there's a major part of that change. And it's interesting, I'm going to quote Keanu Reeves. He said the change doesn't come out of the wallet. It comes out of the spiritual. And we believe that's what the original people are going to be doing in ceremony on the 21st of December at Uluru. Now that's where the change comes to a culmination and comes to a peak. And up until then, we're going to keep using this medium and we're going to keep focusing on that change and what comes after, what came before, and keep looking at it from as many different aspects as we can, but remaining constant in the belief that this world we have today not only will change, but has to change. And I'm going to make one point. One person said to me, what if it doesn't? If the things that we say aren't going to happen? And that's possible because I've got to be pragmatic. I'm doing this on a leap of faith like anyone else is. I've seen a lot of things and I've heard a lot of things that make me believe it's going to happen, but there's still that lead. My answer is this: do it anyway. Set yourself up for this, and if it doesn't happen that way, then let's make it happen. Either way, because what's taking place at the moment just isn't any good. But in the meantime, we've got to do something here about what's taking place. This issue with Aboriginal people, and there's people who criticise and said they've got all this land. Wake up. If you work something out, they got none of it. It was taken, stolen in 1788, and they made up lies, and they went to court, and they did Mabo. They did all sorts of stuff. And in the long step, it turned out the same, because when push came to shove, if there's a development next to the War Memorial, it'll be a gated community in tennis court. We'll fight it as much as we can. I'll help as much as I can from here. But you just know that's going to happen. And will they explode more sites? Or BHP said, oh, they put a moratorium on it for a while. Other mining companies have said nothing. So that's just going to go after a while, like it always does. That's what they're hoping anyway. And when it comes to a development, 70 houses, there'll be a couple of blackfella houses there for sure to make it politically correct. I'll do that. But will they be protecting all the land around there? Will there be things in measure to put in, say guards and maybe even cultural rangers to take people on site and protect the site, and fences around the subdivision so people just can't walk out anywhere and walk on top of sites and walk around things and damage things, and sometimes deliberately so? That won't happen either. And everything continues the same way. But in the meantime, there's a ray of light behind all of this, and that's what our presentation's about. So I'd invite you to join them, please, by all means. And the beauty of them is yeah, we put on about 6, 7, 8 hours sometimes. It varies each time. But you've got 7 days to watch it. And yeah, there were a few problems the first time, but we've got now Leah full-time on this. And if anyone's got a problem, they can get to us straight away. Some people had a problem linking in. Most didn't, but some did, and needed some guidance. And we knew that sometimes that was a problem. So we've got someone now that's doing this all the way through, which is Leah, and she's also doing a presentation too. So we have that covered. So come and join us, because in that you get a hope, you get the reason why all this stuff that's taking place is taking place. It'll continue, and we believe December 21, everyone's got to make a decision by then on what side they stand, because after that you don't get to decide, your karma does. Okay. Until next time, we'll have another one up pretty soon. I think it might be Carry On next, so I'm writing that one right now, so that won't be long.